The strongest Fatui in Tevat, Il Capitano, also known as the Captain, the stoic, badass, nigh-invincible captain with long black hair, a commanding posture, a mysterious mask with glowing blue eyes. A character that rightfully had everyone excited for years leading up to Natlan. So let's talk about the Captain. This line from Sandrone really hit me in the feels, talking about how the Captain used to bring Tartaglia around, but that they won't be seeing him anymore and that she keeps losing people. This pretty much stating that she respected the Captain, and the Captain obviously made an effort to bring Tartaglia around the other Harbingers, him being the young rookie. And then it got me thinking about the Captain altogether, his story, how it concluded, and I wanted to talk about that with you guys even though it's a hard topic to talk about. Think of this as like a retrospective of the Captain. It's been over a year since he was introduced and his story concluded. I want to talk about the things I really liked about his story, the things I didn't necessarily like, some changes I would have made and how I would have went about it, if it's possible he comes back, if he does at all, and just my overall thoughts on the character, because this was one of the most anticipated and hyped up characters in the game. The Captain was a fan favorite for a reason. Was he overhyped? Did people have unrealistic expectations for this character? Probably. Am I guilty of maybe feeding into that? Yeah, I'll admit that, probably, but there's a reason he was so hyped up. And there's a reason people were excited about this character. When they first introduced him in the Winter Lazo trailer along with the majority of the Harbingers, everyone resonated with a specific Harbinger. There was a lot of intrigue, lots of theories going around about each of them, but the Captain, it seemed like everyone resonated with this Harbinger. More than most, along with Columbina and some others. He had the badass stoic look. He spoke with such authority, he had that badass looking mask. Then when we got spoon-fed more information slowly over the next few years, that intrigue grew. Nahida referencing the top 3 Harbingers being powerful as gods. Varka running into the Captain and telling us that he's a man that challenges the gods. And through the voice lines it was revealed their rankings. Then we quickly figured out that Piero wasn't the first rank which we thought all along, but he was actually the director, and the Captain was actually the number 1 Harbinger. And going how they were all ranked by strength, not counting Columbina being a fully powered moon goddess, this just fed into the hype. We would learn from the NPC Fatui around the map that all the Fatui soldiers prefer to work under the Captain than the other Harbingers, being referenced to be nigh invincible, indestructible, but they also talked about how he was stoic, honorable, had a code, and the Fatui being this anti-hero, villain, sometimes good faction, the vast majority of the player base was already hooked on this character. Genshin Impact from the get-go is a story about humans defying this world, this bubble they live in, and the gods that control over them. Not just their lives, but their actual fates. So having a character like this, now 90% confirmed to be the first Harbinger, was intriguing. What's not to like? Leading the group that's rebelling currently. Starting the trend of Himtano. And that brings us to the actual story of the Captain we got and Natlan. Now I'm gonna start with the things I loved and liked about this character, how they went about it, because there's way more good than bad when talking about the Captain. Everything about his lore I liked a lot. How they went about it, however, is a bit to be desired. Firstly, I loved how he was introduced. He just jumps right into battle with the Pyro Archon. He ended up losing this fight, but it was a close fight. Then later on they would justify why he lost, stating that he's a weakened Conrian decaying, carrying around thousands and thousands of souls. Mavwika even acknowledging that it would be totally interesting and close if they were to both fight at full strength. So I'm okay with the power scaling he had. He also demonstrated the qualities that we were led to believe. He was honorable, fought with integrity, intensity, he was strong, but he utterly refused to take advantage of a weakened opponent. When Mavwika had to get us out of the Night Kingdom, she expelled her energy to power the Sacred Flame. The Captain could have absolutely taken over Natlan at that point, but he chose not to. And I know some people will have mixed feelings on this, but I'm actually glad they didn't show his face. It keeps the intrigue. Besides, I don't want to see a decaying captain anyway. I don't even know how they would show that. We then eventually learn that he was from Conria. He was named Thrain, a very powerful general and commander of his own platoon in Conria, that during the Cataclysm, a lot of very innocent Conrians got affected by the actions of the Five Sinners, leading him to flee to Natlan and helping Natlan, also going through an abyssal crisis, fight alongside the tribes and make friends with the Masters of the Nightwind leader at that time, promising the chief of 500 years ago he would return and save Natlan one day. And he ultimately sacrifices himself to not only save the current Pyro Archon Mavwika, which perfectly aligns with what we've heard about the captain, but he got to stick it to one of the four shades. Do what we always heard he would do. Be a mortal mere human that stands up to the gods. The way they worded it and expressed it always had us imagining him beating up a god with his bare hands. We always pictured something along those lines, but it's kinda cool that they did exactly that but in a different way. He creates a situation where the Shade of Death, the very shade that cursed him and all Conrians with immortality as punishment, to make a choice and break one of her rules. Allow him to be an immortal anchor for the Lord of Night and the souls for the Night Kingdom, or lift his curse of immortality breaking her own rule, allowing his empty husk of a body now to be that anchor. Overall, his story is really good and it fits the character, but I do find it was executed quite strange. We jump right into a fight and then we don't really see him much after that. The captain then tries to undermine Mavwika by having his own plans to save Natlan. The captain plans on sacrificing the history of Natlan to preserve the present. You know, sometimes if your body's corrupted, you gotta cut off an arm to save the rest. But Mavwika does not want to sacrifice the heroes that came before, the very memory of them and everyone in Natlan, because the history of Natlan is Natlan. Then the captain very quickly and easily concedes to her plan, and from there on he's kind of mediocre in the story until the very end. He reveals some things to us, but we don't really see him all that much. He's not with us in the final fight, he kinda just shows up at the end. Which isn't the end of the world, but it's kind of off-putting, especially considering we might not see this character ever again. It's not like the Doctor or Tartaglia that reoccur in different nations and are still going. I thought I might be crazy having this opinion, but it seems a lot of you agree with me on this. That the way they executed his story was sort of lackluster. It wasn't bad or horrible or anything like that, but it was just kind of, there's just a bit more there they could have done. Which relates to my next point. I would have liked to see the captain fight more. Fight the Abyss, fight dragons, fight us even, I don't know. Fight the Pyro Archon again. Maybe not just agree and align with us right away. Maybe it took a little bit more to get to that point. Maybe he could have fought the Abyss tooth and nail more. Like the captain was the guy. I would have liked to see him do more. Even if it means they arrive at the same conclusion like we did with Ranova and all that, that would have been fine. Just include him a little bit more and give him a little bit more to do in Natlan. Look at Nodcry right now, all the interactions with the Fatui Harbingers, Columbina, Sandrone, Arlecchino showing up. There's so much to look forward to, so much interesting dialogue. They appear non-stop in the story, because the Fatui Harbingers are probably the most important faction in the game, arguably even more than the Archons, because they're always reoccurring. We don't really deal with Venti and Zhongli all that much since we wrapped up their region. The same goes for all the other Archons, but the Fatui are always driving the plot. So having him appear more in Natlan would have made sense. Nobody would have been disappointed in that, I don't think. Now I'm going to talk about something that's hard to talk about. Something I would have done with this character and what would have made more sense to me. Now naturally when you have a popular character like this, everyone's gonna have their own idea of what they would have wanted for this character, so the fact that the captain was from Conria and his story was what it was, I was completely fine with. Like, it was really good. I love this character, I love how his story progressed, his origin, who he was. Again, would have loved it executed better, would have loved to see him more. But his story was good, I have no complaints. I, however, would have done it a little bit differently. I don't think I would have made the captain Conrian. This was kind of jarring to me at first, and I'll explain why. You can agree with me or disagree with me, leave your comments, there's no right or wrong answer here, but it just sort of made sense that the captain would have been from Natlan, no? we have at least one Harbinger from every region besides Natlan. Columbine is now from Nodcry, Sandroni's more or less now confirmed to be from Fontaine. The 10th Harbinger, we know nothing about the 10th Harbinger. Tartalius from Snezhnaya. The Regrator is more than likely the business guy from Liyue. Signora's from Mondstadt. Scaramucci is from Inazuma. The Rooster's also from Snezhnaya. Arlecchino and Piero are from Conria, which leaves an open spot for Natlan. It would have made so much sense for the first Fatui Harbinger, just a sheer human that challenges gods, all the hoopla about the captain, to be from the nation of war, a nation where tribes fight tirelessly in endless wars against the abyss, a nation where mere humans become archons and gods, take up that throne. Like, to me at least, the writing was already there for him to be from Natlan. His stoic behavior, his honorable behavior. It's not even that I hate that he's from Conria, it's just that we have so many strong characters from there already. Outside of the Fatui alone already we have 2, but the 5 Sinners, Dainsleif. It would have been nice to have one Fatui Harbinger from Natlan, and the captain fit the bill. Leading up to Natlan, I thought he might be the warrior Tenok, because Tenok was one of Natlan's greatest warriors of all time. And he was reduced to just an NPC, and I was so disappointed at this. Then you look at the captain's design, everyone started speculating, oh, it's the Nation of Dragons, maybe he's a dragon all along. What if the captain would have been a human, the most exceptional warrior to ever come out of Natlan, but instead of inheriting the Pyro Archon authority and title, maybe they overlooked him for a reason and now he hates the gods, joined the Fatui, or maybe he turns that role down. Kinda like King Deshert, just a mere human so exceptional that they offer him the Pyro authority and title and he outright refuses, doesn't want to be a puppet. That would have perfectly aligned with his personality and his righteous behavior, as well as his distaste for the gods, standing up to them, but instead joins the Fatui. Or maybe he could have been a past generation Archon that turned down the role or fled, joined the Fatui instead to fight the real villain, Celestia. Maybe the dragon could have been a half-human, half-dragon, kinda like Ochcan, since we know they explored this topic in Natlan already, making the captain the literal embodiment of defying Celestia, being a half-human, half-dragon, having the power and will of both, making him the exceptional warrior he is, and giving his first ranking so much more meaning. There is literally endless ways they could have told this story, making him from Natlan, that would have made so much sense. It also would have been cool to hear more stories or even have him topple more gods, something he had a reputation of doing, giving him a bit more prestige and aura. Not that he even needed it, but you know, why not? Yes, he got to defy Renova, but only for Natlan and its Archon quest. We still have to defy the rest of the Shades and Celestia in the bigger, broader picture, with Project Stuja and whatever Piero's going to do, with all the Gnosis. Now again, I don't blame or fault the devs in the slightest for making him from Conria. Ultimately, they get to write the character in the story, so it's up to them. What they went with I really liked, but I don't know, it just feels like something's missing or empty. Is the 10th missing Harbinger going to be from Natlan? Probably not, we don't know. Not having a single Harbinger from Natlan, the nation of war, known to have some of the most badass humans and warriors, just doesn't make any sense. So it always felt weird to me. And now we have to talk about whether the captain will return. Personally, and I'm being honest here, as much as I hate to say it and I hope I'm wrong, I don't think the captain's coming back. Because that would mean it would retcon his sacrifice to save Malwika, Natlan, secure its ley lines, his ultimate defying moment against the Shade of Death. You would undermine all of that to bring him back. And even if you did bring him back, how would you do it? He's not exactly dead, but an empty husk. Part of the story of the captain was that his will and determination were so great. He was able to decay and carry around souls for 500 years, not resting, not sleeping. The ultimate selfless act to save the souls of many fallen warriors. Such an honorable deed. Now he finally gets to rest himself, fulfilling the promises he made to so many. Do you really want to take that away now? And again, how would you do it? For the big endgame battle against Celestia, bring him back? Then do you bring Senora back too? I'm not saying they couldn't find a clever way to write it back in the story where he comes back, but it just would feel weird. And that's sort of the problem with me and why it's sad. Even La Senora, somebody that legit died. She appeared in Mondstadt's Archon Quest, at the end of Liyue, at the end of Inazuma with a battle. Tartali has been in every freaking nation. Scaramouche has been in quite a few story quests. Met him all the way back in 1.1, he was in Inazuma, then in Sumeru, now he's in Nodcry. Arlecchino's reoccurring now, the Doctor's reoccurring now, we'll see him soon enough in Nodcry. We have yet to meet the rest, and it looks like Columbine is going to be very important for the future of this story. They're just ramping things up. So it's sad to me that the captain was introduced and now pretty much finished in one nation all very quickly without getting to see him do all that much. No funny interactions with the other Harbingers, no more crazy fights and battles outside the initial one, and ultimately if I could summarize this character, it would be bittersweet. An exceptional character with a well-written story, with a very iffy or lackluster execution. With an origin story that is great in my opinion, but could have been amazing. And that's pretty much my rant on the captain. From start to finish, the whole character, whether he'll return or not, I don't think so, but again, if you disagree with me, let me know how you think that would happen. Do you agree with the captain's story? Do you wish it was done differently? Or just executed differently? There's no right or wrong answers here because we're all passionate about this game and its characters, so everyone's going to want different things from the story. So by all means, I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and as always, we will see you all in the next one. Later.